Most of us remember what we were doing on September 11th when we learned about the terrorist attacks.
So many of you probably watched on TV like I did, but Army police officer Anthony Moore was out there, one of thousands of first responders who were right there on the scene. Anthony, thank you for being in here today. And thank you for all you did that day. 22 years, when you think about that, does it seem like it was that long ago? It seems like it almost was yesterday to me even.
Yeah, it definitely does. I think about it, throughout the year, obviously, but this is a special day where we remember 9/11.
And take us through that morning when you found out you were going to be an NYPD officer. You were on your way in for training.
Correct. I was getting ready that morning. I was in processing for NYPD, already hired. I was watching the news as I was getting ready, having breakfast, saw the attacks to the towers. Bottom of the screen scrolled, all New York National Guard and reserves were activated. Packed my bags, kissed my mom goodbye, and headed to the city.
So you're watching the smoke as you come in. You said you're coming in from Long Island, I think.
Long Island Expressway, correct.
So you're preparing yourself mentally, but when you actually got to the scene, give me some of your first impressions.
Sure. So we bust into the financial district and we had to walk into ground zero. As we got off the bus, the soot on the ground was a few inches thick. Right. And I noticed that getting, my first step off the bus. Right. What am I stepping into? You want to assess the situation as you're entering into that area. My military mind is telling me, are there going to be secondary attacks? Because in my mind it's insurgents, right?
Nobody knew at that
terrorists,
point.
right?
No,
but we go through the training thinking about, what the possibilities could be. So I'm thinking about terrorist attack, potential insurgents in the city to, for secondary attacks. And we were armed at the time. So we're walking into ground zero in formation and just thinking about, what's next? What are we going to come across?
What happened for the next couple of days after?
Sure. So we got down to the scene. There was more of a recovery at that point, right? There were the fire and FEMA and all the rescue, units that were trying to recover whatever remains were there, or people trying to save people at that point. Right. For the next, the first few days. The smoke was very heavy. It was very taxing on the lungs, but then eventually we got respiratory equipment.
Wow.
The horrors of that day that you saw up close and firsthand, obviously those first few days afterwards, everybody just kind of grappled with that. But the thing that I remember also 22 years ago was how we all came together, right? In the weeks afterwards. Was that something you felt down there as well?
Sure. Let me digress a moment. So the first things that I saw when we came in were Americans behind barricades, holding up pictures, screaming, "Can you help me?" So this was very difficult to deal with, attacks on American soil when we're used to overseas. This is home. And that was the hardest part. But yes, Americans coming together, 100%. Nothing that I've ever seen before. There was people of all races and religions and nationalities, and that were just coming together. We had one purpose, was to help the people that suffered or perished.
You said it was many, many years before you could even go back to New York after moving here to Arizona.
Yes, it was 10 years. We went with my wife and then daughter. We went back to the memorial, and it was very difficult to see and walk through there, rethinking everything that transpired that day.
And you told us you have some residual effects, you think, still from what you did 22 years ago.
Correct. I have asthma. I have an autoimmune disease that's linked to the chemicals that we were inhaling. So yeah, there was some physical trauma that I sustained since then.
Yeah, there's something though about when you take a look at some of the images that we've just been showing. It takes you back to that day, doesn't it? I mean, you more than I think a lot of us who were not there on that very day, who touched down on the ground.
Right. Yeah. I definitely sustained some PTSD from the event. Didn't leave my house for several weeks, but I don't really think about myself. I think about the families that lost loved ones, the children that grew up without parents. That's really what bothers me.
You have overcome quite a bit, though. You're a successful businessman. What are you doing now?
So I've started my first business was, it's called Grow My Security Company. I cater to building security guard companies, doing digital marketing for them, business development for them, and then I've also opened 2 other companies in the same realm for business development and also digital marketing for restaurants, and then also the real estate industry.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anthony,
yeah.
thank you so much. And you got
Thank
a
you
beautiful
for your
wife and your little
service.
boy over here.
Valentino,
Valentino
look at
cooing
him,
a little bit.
sweetheart.
Thank you for what you did that day, and thanks for coming in here today.
Thank you
It's
for
my
your
pleasure. Thank you
service.
for having
Thank
me.
you, Anthony.
All right, Desiree.